want to give an update on my 1973 Honda CL350 on the last major issue that's keeping this from being a good bike. And that is that I am running out of power when I get into wide open throttle for any bit over 3 to 5 seconds. Essentially what I think is happening is it's being starved of fuel. I've been going about this the wrong way, trying to diagnose it incorrectly, and I actually shot some video about a month ago that's going to show you exactly what I'm struggling with, so maybe somebody can help me out. And I've got some ideas of my own, and let's take a look at that video, and then I'll start talking about the bike, and we'll actually get into it. And I think what I'm going to be doing is changing the jets on this thing, because I kept approaching this as if it's a stock bike, and it's not a completely stock bike. It has more free-flowing exhaust on it, which means it may need more fuel going through it. It may not be the float height issue that I've been trying to troubleshoot, but maybe it is. So let's take a look at that video and see what it is. Alright, so here's that video I mentioned. You're going to see, I'll get the bike idling a little bit of after firing on the idle, but good enough for government work. The idle's not the point of this video. The point is going to be when I get on the throttle wide open, you're going to hear it just straight up stall out, and no matter what I do, I cannot get any more power to it. But when I'm getting up to speed, I'm not having any issues at all. Like, there's no mid-jet or mid-range hesitation or anything like that. So, taking off a little bit here, we'll cut the video ahead a little bit forward, and right here, I'll shut up for this part. That's stalling out, and as I shift gears up higher, it's like it has a maximum amount of power it can hit, and it cannot go any further. So we're going to see a little bit more after I take the right turn here. It's a little bit more downhill, so the RPMs will be a little bit higher, which again leads me to believe this is a power issue, as in it's just running out. Right there, it's out. And every gear I go up, I lose 600 RPMs. That's as high as I can get it. I think that's down to second gear, about 7,600 RPM. When I jump up to third gear here, that's out of third or fourth. Either way, that's maxed out. There is one more thing I wanted to point out on this, is that it does seem to have a hanging throttle, and it pops a ton on deceleration. Both these things indicate a lean condition. The one thing that a hanging throttle, you can hear it right now, one thing a hanging throttle can indicate is that I've got a vacuum leak somewhere. So I actually just spent, actually this is a better hanging throttle right here. I'll take my hands off the thing. See, it's still staying up there like 3,500 RPM, and it'll slowly drop down. To me, that sort of indicates that there could be a vacuum leak. So I did just buy some, I think 35 bucks a piece for some new intake boots. So rolling it in. Anyway, that's the issue I'm struggling with. So basically, I can't get the bike over 45 miles an hour, and I've been troubleshooting this thing for a while and been missing on it. But I think the main jet may be the thing. This is why I don't think it is the mid-range jet or even a needle set height. You can hear the bike gets up to speed just fine. It's when it's wide open throttle. So we'll go jump into these carburetors here and see if we can get any further with it. Alright, so hopefully I did a decent job showing what the issue is with the bike. Basically, it's running out of power when I'm at wide open throttle. So I've been going about this the wrong way. I kept thinking it was a float height issue, and I don't know that it is. And I never accounted for the the aftermarket exhaust. So let's take a look. I think what I did, I bought a jet kit from Common Motor. So I've got a couple different size secondary and primary jets on here. One thing that's been confusing me a bit is that the secondary jet and primary jets are not what you think they are. The secondary jet is actually the bigger jet. The primary jet is the smaller jet. The primary jet kind of fills that hole, that area between, let's say if, this might not be exactly right on this carburetor, but let's say that the slow jet, the pilot jet, does 0 to 25% throttle. The primary jet's going to take care of that 25 to 35, maybe 45%. And then the secondary jet, the big jet, is going to take care of everything else. So really, I'm only running into issues when we get to wide open. There's no issues with getting power on or anything like that, so I don't suspect that it's a secondary, or a primary jet issue. What I want to do to not make too many changes at once is I'm going to throw on, let's see, stock on here is 105 on the secondary jet. Okay, so this will actually highlight one of my major issues with some of this old literature. If you look at here, it says the secondary jet on a CL350 is 115. It's absolutely not. And I've been pointing out these issues in these books for a while, but it's absolutely not. And the primary is definitely not a 60. It's a 68. This bike actually has a 70 on the primary and a 105. And a 105 is 100% what actually comes stock on these. So what we're going to be doing, I've got 3 different steps I could take. I can either take it from 105 to 110, 115, or 120. I'm going to take a big swing and just see how it reacts. I'll go big because make it rich. Yeah, it may not run as well, but if you want to be one thing, you'd rather be rich than lean, because you can grenade engines if you're lean. Rich, you're just not going to run very well. So I've got one of the carburetors right here, and I loosen it all up so it'll come apart pretty easy, and I'll pop out the pin so I can take the float out. And all the carburetor parts in here are new outside of the carburetor itself. Even a new float, even though I didn't have a bad float before. And this holder here, this is holding the primary, sorry, I'm getting screwed up again. Primary is the smaller one. So the primary here, the 70, and then the larger one here is the secondary jet. This one is a 105, so these two will come out. Now there's emulsion tubes in here, and if I flip this over, 3 parts are going to fall out. The needle valve, the emulsion tube on the secondary, and what they call the holder. I don't know why they call it a holder, because it's an emulsion tube, but it's an emulsion tube on the primary. So let's take those out. So there are those 3. So new components, those should be fine. I know everything's clean because I've cleaned them about 100 times. What's curious about this, and another thing that just confuses me about this old literature and whatnot, under here is the slow jet, the pilot jet. If I take this little cap off, which I'm told you have to have, it seems weird. The slow jet and the secondary jet are actually linked inside of here. That's why you can actually cap this thing off, because it's going to be pulling it through here, and you actually need this. And my bike idles, so I know it's right. It's just strange. But what's so weird about it is you can't figure out. So this is the climber manual, and this is actually the parts fiche from Honda. And I can't even figure out what this part is. It's just so weird that you have this rubber piece. It seems like it's just blocking everything. But maybe I'm getting besides myself, besides the point. So what I think I'm going to do is grab one of these 120s. Is this one of the 120s? Where are you? That's a 115. I bet that's a 120. That's a 120. So, I mean, the big change I'm making here is I'm going to take these two, I'll put the emulsion tube back in, and I'm going to put the 120 in. So, doesn't seem, well, you can barely see through these things. You can when they're 120s. You can't when they're really the 38s, like the slow jet. Anyway, that's going to live here now. I'm not going to be changing the secondary jet. I don't want to make too many changes at one time, and I haven't been having issues with the secondary, I don't believe. That seems more like a fine-tuning issue. I want to go after the big issue. Oh, I need this part. So, I'll throw that in there, throw these here, and I'll put my needle valve back in. So, potentially, I mean, it seems like a minor change. Let's say it starts running a lot better, and everything is copacetic, and we're able to go all the way up to redline, full power, etc. What I'd probably want to do is bring it back to the 115, see if it runs better. If it does, then I'll keep running the 115. And if I want to try even further to bring it a little bit leaner, I'll try the 110. Because you want to be running, you know, you don't want to be putting more fuel into it. Richer you're running, I mean, if you're rich, you're going to be losing horsepower. But I have no horsepower, so the bigger swings, I like to make the extreme changes to see how it reacts, and then you can temper it back. So let's say once we get to wide open throttle and everything's copacetic, but it feels like power delivery isn't great, then I'll start looking at some of these other secondaries. And I might switch it from the 70 to maybe go back to the 68, or I think the other one that I have here is a 60 or a 72. We could try that. The other thing we could do, flip this thing over, pull the needle out. We could actually shim the needle. So if we felt like we weren't getting enough fluid or fuel in it, we could actually shim the needle a little bit. So that's going to change our power delivery from like 50 to 75%. But ultimately, we're going to be held up by wide open throttle on the jet size of our secondary jet. So I hope this works. Well, it's going to work, and then it's going to change the performance of it somehow. Either I'm missing something major, or this is it, and this is going to fix it. And we just never compensated for this this more free-flowing exhaust. So we'll see. I don't know if the weather's going to be good enough for me to actually try this out tomorrow. If it's not good enough for me to try this out tomorrow, then I'll post this video, because I don't know the next time it's going to be, because winter just fucking showed up and it's November 2nd, which is really stupid. I figured it would wait till like January, or maybe I was just really hopeful. Last thing that I've been doing, I mean, so I got some other goodies here. Just stuff. There's this rattle. There's this rattle somewhere up here. Replacing all of the rubber inside of the gauges. This is a brand new headlight setup with an H4 bulb, so it's a replaceable bulb and whatnot. Just gonna keep putting new rubber at it. I'm just gonna keep throwing money at this thing till it works correctly. Bought the bike for 850 bucks. I think we've just passed $2,000 in parts. So anybody that wants to buy a barn find bike and fix it up, and that'll be really fun. Just know what you're getting yourself into. It is fun, it is rewarding when things actually work. But a lot of the times they don't. So have secondary bikes. Oh shit, I got two bikes that don't run down here. Anyway, if I can run it tomorrow, this video will be longer. If not, thanks for watching. Alright, so it's 2 weeks later, and I took a little ride today. Didn't have enough time when I finished that video. Anyway, made those changes. We switched the secondary jet from a 105 to a 120, but I should also mention that I did make one other major change. Not a change, but an adjustment. And that was that I went through the ignition timing again. I reset the cam chain tension, the valve clearances, and that's where I may have actually found a pretty, unfortunately, major issue that may have contributed quite a bit. Those little index marks on how you set the valve clearances. I showed this in another video that I made, but I may have screwed that up on two of them. And the last thing is that I set the points. So here we go. We're going to get all the way up to full power. It's pretty sweet. Oh yeah! Go faster, man!
I bitched out a little bit and didn't floor it nearly enough because I was worried about getting pulled over. I'll take it down this hill once more where I definitely bitch out. But you can see we're getting well past where we were stalling up previously. Now I can't be certain how much I can attribute to the jets and how much I can attribute to me having screwed up the index marks on the valves. So what I'm likely going to have to do, I'll probably dial back the jets, the secondaries to a 115, see how that affects it. Unfortunately, you can see the snow on the ground now, which means my riding season has probably ended. But it's really encouraging to see that the bike is going to get there. You know, we've figured out where to get the power. Now we have to get all of the power. That probably includes changing the secondary jets up and potentially the primaries as well. But this is substantially better than where we were. I'm looking forward to putting this thing on the freeway, getting it there. Now we can buy some tires. I already got the rim bands, I already got the tubes. Now I just need to get the tires. One thing I'm still a little bit worried about is the vibration in the bike. I don't know how much these bikes are supposed to vibrate. I mean, they are just straight. There's no rubber mounts or anything. They're bolted right to the engine. And I was riding in tennis shoes, so I probably felt the vibrations more in my feet than I normally would if I was using my riding boots. It just feels like there's still a good bit of vibration. Nothing that's gonna, put you to sleep, but maybe I'm just used to some of the more modern bikes that I ride. But I mean, we don't have any more hanging throttle. Maybe we can attribute that to the intake boots, or maybe we can attribute that to the valves, the valve clearances, or actually the rocker arm adjustments that were out of spec previously. But this is super encouraging. We are on our way, and I'll probably forget all about this because the snow's not going to evaporate until fucking June. But anyway, if you'd watched, appreciate it. Thank you.